Each time my latest stepdad died, my mother cried for exactly 3 days. I cried for two. Then I stopped crying altogether. That's when I realized I might be more like her than I wanted to admit. After the tears dried, she bought a new Porsche. Doctors always called it bad luck or a weak heart. But yesterday at dinner with fiancé number 5, I saw her drip a clear liquid into his Earl Grey tea. She caught me watching. She didn't hide it. She winked. "Just vitamins for daddy," she whispered. I know that bottle. Those vitamins stopped the hearts of 4 men before him. Tell me, if you knew your mother was a serial killer, would you turn her in, or are you too afraid of becoming her next victim? My name is Lily, and I am the daughter of a professional widow. I'm 19 years old. Mark lasted 8 months. I found him face down on the treadmill the morning after my 10th birthday party. Steve made it a year. He drowned in our pool on the 4th of July. Fireworks were so loud nobody heard him scream. Richard? 3 months. His Tesla drove off a cliff on a road with no curves. And Alex was my favorite. He taught me to ride a bike. He died in his sleep the night he proposed to adopt me. 4 fathers, 4 funerals, 4 8-figure insurance payouts. I stopped crying after the second one. I stopped being surprised after the third. Now I just count the days until the next black dress. They all had two things in common. They had no living relatives, and they had massive life insurance policies naming my mother as the sole beneficiary. We live in a mansion paid for by death. My college fund is blood money, and I am the bait. My mother uses me. Look at my angel," she tells them. "I just want a father for her." It works every time. The worst part isn't watching them die. The worst part is that I've started ranking them. Mark was boring. Steve was loud. Richard was okay. Alex was almost worth keeping. I catch myself thinking like her, calculating, measuring people by what they're worth dead versus alive. Last month, I Googled sociopathy hereditary. The answer was yes. And then there was Greg. I knew he was dead the moment he proposed, not because of who he was, because of what he did at our first dinner. He asked me about my day, not my mom. Me. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Lily, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Nobody had ever asked me that before. My mother saw it too. She saw that I liked him, and that made him perfect, because now, if I tried to warn him, who would believe the weird daughter over the loving fiancé? Greg is a tech CEO. He laughs too loud at his own jokes. He likes magic tricks. He thinks my mom is his soulmate. He's actually nice, and that's the worst part. The nice ones die the fastest. Mom has been planning the wedding for weeks, but I found her notepad in the kitchen. It wasn't a guest list, it was a timeline. Engagement party June 1st, wedding July 15th, accident August 1st. She isn't planning a marriage, she's planning a harvest. That night, I made a decision. I was going to warn Greg. I wrote it all down on a napkin, every name, every date, every accident. I was going to slip it into his pocket at dinner, but when I came downstairs, I saw my mother standing at the stove. She was holding my napkin. She had found it. She read it slowly, then looked at me and smiled. "Dinner's almost ready, sweetie," she basted. She burned the napkin in the gas flame without breaking eye contact. Dinner. 7 p.m. Greg was showing us wedding venues on his iPad. He looked so happy. "I was thinking Italy," he beamed. "Lily, you'd love Italy." My mom was smiling that shark smile, the one she uses when she's calculating the payout. "Italy sounds perfect, darling. Here, have your tea. It'll help you sleep." She slid the mug across the marble table. I saw the liquid swirl. It wasn't just tea. I saw the vial in her palm before she slipped it back into her pocket. The same vial I saw the night Mark grabbed his chest. The same vial I saw the night Alex didn't wake up. Greg picked up the cup. He took a sip. "Tastes a little bitter," he laughed. "New blend?" "Herbal," Mom said smoothly. "Good for the circulation." 5 minutes later, Greg rubbed his left arm. "Funny," he said, frowning. "My arm feels a little numb. Pins and needles." My blood ran cold. Numbness in the left arm. That's the first sign of the accident. Mom stood up and walked behind him. She started massaging his shoulders. "You're just stressed, my love. Just relax. Finish your drink." Her eyes locked with mine over his shoulder. Her look was clear. "Say a word and you're next." Greg lifted the cup again. His hand was shaking slightly. The poison was already working. I sat there frozen. If I knock the cup over, Mom punishes me, and her punishments aren't like normal parents. She knows how to hurt you without leaving bruises. If I let him drink it, he's dead by morning. So, Italy, Greg said, his speech slurring just a tiny bit. What do you think, Lily? He looked at me with those kind, trusting eyes. He was the only father figure who had ever actually asked me what I thought. I have to make a choice right now. Do I kick the table and save him, or do I sit still and let him die to save myself? I didn't think, I just reacted. I kicked the leg of the table as hard as I could. The mug flew out of Greg's hand and shattered on the white Persian rug. The dark liquid spread like an oil spill. Greg jumped up, startled but alive. My mother froze. For 1 second, the mask slipped. She didn't look like a concerned fiancé. She looked like a viper whose strike just missed. She looked at the broken porcelain, then she looked at me, with eyes that promised pain. Tell me, have you ever seen someone look at you with pure hatred, while pretending to smile? Oh my God, I'm so clumsy, I stammered, dropping to my knees to pick up the shards. I'm so sorry, Greg. Greg laughed, a little shaky. It's okay, kiddo, just a rug. He tried to stand up to help me, but he stumbled. He grabbed the chair for balance. Whoa, he said, blinking. Head rush. The poison. He had only taken 1 sip, but it was potent. My mother was instantly at his side. See, she cooed, her voice like velvet. You're not well, Greg. You're dizzy. Your arm is numb. She guided him toward the stairs. It's probably just exhaustion, darling, or a mini stroke. You need bed rest immediately. No, doctor, Greg mumbled. I just need to sleep. Exactly, Mom said, guiding him away from the door and toward the bedroom. I'll take care of you. I'll be your nurse. I watched them go up the stairs, and then I saw it on the counter. My mother's phone. Unlocked. 1 text message sent 5 minutes ago to a number saved as cleaner. Bedroom, 2 a.m., usual disposal. She had already scheduled the body pickup. 10 minutes later, she came back down. She walked into the kitchen where I was washing my hands. She didn't yell. Yelling leaves echoes. She leaned in close, her perfume smelling like lilacs and formaldehyde. That was a very expensive mistake, Lily, she whispered. That rug cost $6,000. But don't worry, I'll take it out of your share of the life insurance. She opened the pantry and moved a box of cereal. Behind it was a small case, a medical kit. She took out a syringe. You bought him time, she said, checking the needle, but not much. Plans have changed. We aren't waiting for the wedding. He's having a cardiac event tonight, and since you broke the cup, you're going to help me hold him down if he struggles. She leaned in closer. You think you're different from me, Lily? You think you're the hero? She stroked my cheek. I've seen you watch them die. You never screamed, you never ran for help. You just observed, like a scientist, like me. I wanted to argue, but she wasn't wrong. She walked out of the kitchen humming. My stomach twisted. Tonight, I had maybe 2 hours before she went back upstairs with that needle. I needed to get Greg out. The front door was locked, deadbolt. The back door, locked. My mother had the only key. She always locked us in at night for safety. We were trapped in a fortress with a murderer. I crept up the stairs. The floorboards creaked. I reached Greg's door. I pushed it open slowly. The room was dark. Greg was lying on the bed sweating. Greg? I whispered. He groaned. Lily, I feel heavy. Greg, listen to me, I whispered, rushing to the side of the bed. You need to get up. You need to unlock the window. We have to jump. He looked at me. His eyes were glassy, but something flickered. I know, he whispered. What? I know what she is. I've known for 2 weeks. My blood froze. I hired a private investigator after she asked me to change my will. I found the pattern. Mark, Steve, Richard, Alex. Then why are you still here? He grabbed my hand. His grip was weak, but his eyes were clear. Because of you, Lily. I couldn't leave you alone with her. He coughed. Blood flecked his lips. I was going to take you both to dinner tomorrow, somewhere public. I was going to confront her, get you out, but she moved faster. He tried to smile. Guess I'm not as smart as I thought. He chose to stay for me. He knew he might die, and he stayed anyway. That's when I understood what a real father was.
Suddenly, the bedside lamp clicked on. I spun around. My mother was standing in the doorway, holding the syringe. She smiled. "Say goodbye to your new daddy, Lily. I am trapped in a room with a drugged man and a woman holding a lethal injection. Tell me, do I fight her or do I jump out the window and leave him to die?"
She didn't lunge at Greg, she lunged at me. She knew as long as I was conscious, I would fight for him. She tackled me to the floor, and the syringe flew out of her hand, skidding across the hardwood. I felt her hands around my throat, her nails digging into my skin. She wasn't my mother anymore. She was a stranger with cold, dead eyes who was trying to crush my windpipe. Tell me, could you fight back against your own parent if they were trying to kill you? I couldn't breathe. Black spots danced in my eyes. I thrashed, I kicked. My hand brushed against something on the floor, the heavy ceramic base of the broken lamp. I grabbed it. I didn't think. I swung it backward with everything I had. Crack. I felt the impact against her skull. Her grip loosened. She let out a gasp and rolled off me, clutching her head. I scrambled up, gasping for air. "Run, Greg!" I screamed. But Greg couldn't run. He was slumped against the headboard, eyes rolling back. I grabbed his arm. It was like pulling dead weight. "Get up! Please get up!" I dragged him, inch by inch, out of the bedroom, into the hallway. I heard a low growl behind me. My mother was standing up. Blood was trickling down her forehead. "You ungrateful brat," she hissed. "I gave you everything." She picked up the syringe from the floor. The needle was still intact. She started walking toward us, not running, walking, like a Terminator. I dragged Greg into the bathroom across the hall and slammed the door. I locked it. I shoved a towel under the crack. Then I pushed the heavy marble vanity cabinet against the door. Bam! She slammed against it from the other side. "Open this door, Lily. We can still fix this. We can say it was a suicide." Bam! The wood splintered. And then, silence. I heard something I had never heard before. Crying. "Lily," her voice broke. "Lily, please, I didn't want this life. My father, he did things to me. He sold me to men when I was younger than you. I learned that love is a weapon. It's the only weapon I have." My hand was on the lock. "I did it all for us, so we'd never be poor, never be powerless, never be victims again." I almost believed her. Then I heard her reload the syringe. "But if you won't be my daughter, you'll be my last policy." The crying stopped. The monster was back. I looked around the bathroom. No window, just a vent. Wait, the vent. I remembered something. When I was 14, I used to sneak out through the air ducts to meet a boy from school. My mother caught me. She welded the vent in my room shut, but she never fixed this one. It was too small for Greg, but it wasn't too small for me. I had a choice: crawl out and get help, or stay and die with him. Greg was sliding down the wall. "Lily, I can't feel my legs." I pulled out my phone, 1% battery. I dialed 911. 911, what is your emergent? The phone died. Black screen. I screamed in frustration. Then I saw it. Greg's keys hanging from his belt loop, and on the keychain, the panic button for his car alarm. If I pressed it, the car in the garage would start blaring. The neighbors might hear, or maybe the noise would distract her. I grabbed the keys. I held the red button down. A second later, we heard it. Honk, honk, honk. The sound vibrated through the floorboards. The banging on the door stopped. She was running downstairs to shut it off, to stop the neighbors from looking. This was our chance. I pulled the vanity back. I unlocked the door. I hoisted Greg up. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug. He weighed 200 pounds, but I carried him like a backpack. We stumbled down the stairs. The alarm was blaring. We made it to the kitchen. The door to the garage was open. I saw my mother standing by Greg's Tesla. She had a tire iron in her hand. She was smashing the headlights, trying to kill the alarm. She didn't see us yet. I saw the wall button for the garage door. If I hit it, the door would open and we could run into the street. But she was standing right between us and the button. I looked at Greg. He was fading fast. Foam was forming at the corners of his mouth. I had to get past her without a weapon. I am 10 feet away from the only exit. My mother is holding a tire iron and looking the other way. Tell me, do I make a run for the button, or do I try to get into the car and run her over? I didn't run for the button, and I didn't run for the tire iron. I threw Greg into the passenger seat of the Tesla and jumped behind the wheel. My mother saw me. She screamed, a sound that wasn't human, and swung the iron bar at my windshield. Glass exploded into my lap. She raised the bar for a second strike right at my head. I didn't hesitate. I shifted into drive and floored it. And for 1 second, one horrible second, I felt nothing. No guilt, no fear, just
Calculation. If I hit her at this angle, the impact will. I heard myself thinking like her. I screamed, not at her, at myself. Tell me, would you have stopped or would you have driven straight through your own garage door to survive?
The car surged forward. Electric engines have instant torque. I heard a sickening thud as the bumper hit her legs, but I didn't stop. We smashed through the garage door like it was made of paper. Wood splintered, metal screeched. We flew down the driveway and skidded onto the front lawn. I slammed on the brakes. The airbags didn't deploy because we were going too slow, but my head hit the steering wheel. I looked back. The garage door was a gaping hole. My mother was lying in the driveway. She was moving. She was crawling toward us, dragging her broken leg, still holding the tire iron. She wasn't giving up. But then I saw the blue lights. The neighbors had called the cops when the alarm went off. 3 squad cars screeched around the corner. "Get on the ground," they screamed, guns drawn. My mother dropped the iron. She looked at the cops, then she looked at me. She didn't look scared. She looked disappointed, like I was a bad investment. The paramedics got to Greg just in time. His heart stopped twice in the ambulance. They pumped his stomach. They found enough ethylene glycol, antifreeze, to kill a horse. He was in a coma for 3 days. The detective was a woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She had seen everything. But when I finished talking, her hands were shaking. "How long?" she whispered. "How long have you known?" I couldn't look at her. "Since I was 12. Since I saw her wash Delisle after Richard. Why didn't you tell anyone?" I finally met her eyes. Because she told me if I ever talked, she'd make it look like I did it. She had a backup plan. My fingerprints on every bottle, my search history full of how to fake a heart attack. She made me her insurance policy. The detective put down her pen. "You were a child. I was her accomplice. At least that's what she wanted me to believe." They exhumed Mark, Steve, Richard, and Alex. They found traces of poison in all of them. My mother wasn't just a murderer. She was one of the most prolific serial killers in state history, and she did it all for handbags and sports cars. Greg woke up on a Tuesday. I was asleep in the chair next to his bed, the same chair I hadn't left in 3 days. I didn't hear his eyes open. I didn't hear him try to speak, but I felt his hand on mine. I woke up crying. Not sad crying, the other kind, the kind I didn't know I was capable of. "Hey, kiddo," he rasped. His voice sounded like sandpaper. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm so sorry. It's my fault. She used me to—" He squeezed my hand, hard. "You saved my life. I almost got you killed." He smiled. It hurt him. I could see it hurt, but he smiled anyway. "Same thing. But the poison damaged his heart permanently. He can't run anymore. He can't climb stairs without stopping to breathe. The doctors say he has maybe 10 years, maybe less. He sold his company, not because he wanted to, because he couldn't work anymore. The adoption papers took 6 months. Greg had to fight for them. My mother's lawyers tried to block it from prison. She said I was emotionally unstable and prone to violence. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The day the judge approved it, Greg handed me a gift, a small box. Inside was a keychain, a tiny silver house. "No more locks," he said. "You're home." We moved to a small house near the beach. No marble floors, no Persian rugs, just safety. Last week, he taught me to play chess. He's terrible at it. He lets me win every time. "Your move, kiddo," he said. I looked at him, gray in his hair that wasn't there before, lines on his face that the poison carved. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I should have warned you sooner. I should have—" He put his hand over mine. "Lily, I'm sitting on a beach. I'm watching the sunset, and I'm playing chess with my daughter." He smiled. "I won." I went to see her once. Prison. Maximum security. She sat behind the glass wearing a gray jumpsuit. No makeup, no jewelry. She looked old. The monster had withered. She picked up the phone. "Hello, Lily. You look tired. Are you taking your vitamins?" She smiled, that same shark smile. I didn't smile back. "Why?" I asked. "Why them? Why me?" She sighed, like I was a toddler asking why the sky is blue. "Oh, Lily, you still don't understand, do you?" She leaned forward, her voice dropped to a whisper. "I never hated them. I loved every single one, for exactly as long as I needed to." She smiled. "Love is a transaction, sweetheart. You give, you take, you move on. The only difference between me and every other woman is that I'm honest about the exit strategy." She tapped the glass with one finger. "And you were my masterpiece, the grieving daughter, the perfect alibi.
Every cop, every lawyer, every jury, they all looked at your sad little face and thought, how could a mother do this to her child? That's the trick, Lily. Make them feel sorry for you, and they'll never suspect you. I felt sick. I was never your daughter.
Oh, baby, she laughed. It echoed off the concrete walls. You were always my daughter. That's why you're the one who got away. She leaned against the glass, her eyes locked with mine. You think you escaped me, Lily? Look in the mirror. I'm right there. In your eyes, in your patience, in the way you calculate people. I told her she was wrong. She laughed. Give it time. I hung up. She was still laughing when I walked out. That was 3 years ago. My mother is serving 4 consecutive life sentences. She'll die in prison. But sometimes, late at night, I catch myself checking the locks twice. I catch myself looking at people and calculating, how much are they worth? How easy would it be? I'm not like her. At least, that's what I tell myself. Last night, I went on a date. Nice guy, software engineer, talks too much about crypto. Halfway through dinner, I caught myself wondering, does he have life insurance? I excused myself, went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and for 1 second, one horrible second, I saw her face instead of mine. I splashed water on my face. I went back to the table. I told him I wasn't feeling well. I went home alone. I'm not her. I'm not her. I'm not her. But some nights, I'm not sure. Tell me, if you found out you had a monster inside you, would you fight it or would you feed it? She's still watching from behind the glass, waiting.